from the ages of 11 until 17, there was not a single day I didn't wake up before 5:30 in the morning.
Okay, so let's just hard stop there because nobody does that. Tell us more about the morning routine.
Wake up early. I bought a full spectrum light panel that I sit in front of because the sun's not quite up.
What's your current stack?
I do an AG1. I do B12. I like to intermittent fast. I usually don't eat breakfast until 10, or sometimes I just skip breakfast and eat at noon.
And you're tracking your biomarkers along with your genomics.
So 8 sleep, a Whoop, a Aura, use all three of those. Continuous glucose monitor as well.
Anything else in your morning routine?
A scoop of collagen, a scoop of MCT, and then 2 cups of black coffee.
Hey everyone, it is Dr. Sara Zoll. Welcome back to Treated. And I'm so excited to be with our guest today, Jimmy St. Louis. Let me tell you a little bit about him and then we'll open up the conversation. So Jimmy is a healthcare innovator. He is a highly competitive former professional athlete. Can't wait to get into those details. And he's also a family man. He is the CEO of Agentis Longevity. We're going to talk a lot about that today. He wants to bring longevity to more people to really transform how we think about it. He is a former NFL tight end. He played for the Tennessee Titans.
That's right.
Did I say that right?
That's right.
Okay. He was also a USA rower. He did so many different sports. He is a college scholar athlete, an All-American. He has spent his life solving unmet needs in healthcare. He has a life mission to help people live better through bold healthcare innovations. He founded Regenerative Medicine Solutions and Laser Spine Institute, leading them both to a national presence. Jimmy lives in Nashville with his wife, Jillian, his daughter, Brooke, and his son, Phoenix. I met Jimmy more than a year ago at a Young Presidents Organization event, and he chased me to talk about longevity. Since then, we've become quite close friends, and we're also colleagues. So I admire him hugely, mostly because he is so self-led. He's deeply present. He's deeply caring. You're going to get a sense of that today. And he's guided by integrity and mission. Jimmy is leading the charge to make longevity care more accessible. He is an expert at human performance and optimization. We'll talk about that as well, and how it intersects with innovative healthcare and mission-driven entrepreneurship. I'm just so excited that he's joining us here today. Hi, Jimmy.
Hi. Thank you for having me. So glad to be here.
I'm so happy we're talking.
Me too.
So let's start first. I went through your bio, but who are you?
Well, first, thanks for the chance to share and to be here and just have a conversation with you. And it's funny when you mentioned chasing you down at the YPO event. For me, I like to surround myself with growth-oriented, growth-minded people and find a way to give more than I take. And that's been a family motto of ours for a long time, and that's how I lead my life. I also lead it with values. So to me, think about family, think about faith, fitness or exercise, if you will, and then mission. And mission, of course, can be synonymous with work or your life purpose as well. So that's who I am, and I'm looking forward to spending time having that conversation. I've had some interesting former lives as well, being a professional athlete and just having the chance to experience that at a high level and surround myself with other high-performing people. It's just been a tremendous life, and looking forward to having the chance here to share some of that with you.
Well, I want to start with your athletic prowess because you really got my attention. I mean, at YPO, there's a lot of impressive people. But to hear that you were a professional football player, a college athlete, and I think I'm probably just scratching the surface of your athletic career, but then also on the U.S. rowing team, tell us about that. When did that first start? And what was it in your childhood that led to some of these traits and to be on this arc toward being an elite athlete?
Well, thank you. Well, I think when you have a passion, you may not necessarily realize where it's heading to. Of course, lots of kids have this dream of going on to become a professional athlete. And it's interesting when people would raise their hands at camp, when the coaches would say, who wants to go and be an NBA player or an NFL player? I never really raised my hand. It wasn't because it didn't sound fun, but it wasn't really on the radar for me. I just loved the opportunity to compete, surround myself with good people. And I also had some interesting dynamics in life that led me to these sports. So I grew up in a military family. My parents split up when I was quite young. So I spent quite a bit of time traveling back and forth to different houses, moving to different cities. And so what I realized was a way to connect with people was sports, especially if you're good at them. So the ability to go in and meet your new friend group. And I often say, you know, when you go to decide on who you're going to surround yourself with, inherently we look for data points, right? And data points are, what do you have in common with those people? And do you want to be around those people? Well, sports allows you to fast track that just a little bit. If you love sports, it's already inherent that you're going to be around those people playing that particular sport. So for me, I was born in Texas, then moved to Missouri and then Georgia. And then I moved to Seattle when I was 6 years old and had the opportunity to grow up in the Pacific Northwest, running track, cross country, playing basketball. And
was there anything you weren't good at? Because that sounds like pretty much all the sports I know about.
In sports, I was usually pretty gifted and talented at and able to pick them up pretty quickly. And
I've looked at your genomics, which confirms.
Okay, good. I would say I have been an aspiring musician in the past and certainly couldn't get to first base on those things. So I think God blessed me with some athletic ability and maybe not in some other areas as well. But I will tell you early on, what it really taught me was competition, work ethic, and discipline. And when you grow up in the Pacific Northwest, it's similar to track and cross country. They are very similar to football in the South, right?
Yes.
It's like, that's what it's about. And I remember running in cross country meets at a very young age with 300-400 kids there. And then I remember in the summertime, we would have Wednesday night under the lights, and it was a track series every Wednesday night, hundreds of kids there. They're competing. It's just fun. And I carried that with me. So I remember making that move from Seattle, where you do everything outside and you do it all in the rain and you work hard and you aren't really subject to all these other kind of like environmental factors. I remember going there and working hard and getting to Kansas, and I was outside playing basketball where we moved to, and lightning struck and someone said, "You've got to get inside." I remember thinking I hadn't seen lightning outside because that didn't happen up in Seattle.
Right.
But the point being is it just taught me this kind of 24/7 work ethic. Mm-hmm. And so then as I started to realize, hey, I'm pretty good at these things, got to Kansas. As a 13-year-old, I finished 4th in the country in the mile.
Wow.
So that was...
I didn't know that. See, I love these data points, Jimmy, because that's my love language. So 4th. Tell me about that. How fast were you?
So for those that are track enthusiasts, Jim Ryan was my idol growing up, and then Carl Lewis as well. So Jim Ryan broke the 4-minute mile, ran a 3:55 in college, and then of course, Carl Lewis went on to win many gold medals, and I just grew up admiring those guys. And so it was an indoor national track meet, took place at KU, and I remember seeing Jim Ryan's record up on the record board, the 3:55. Yeah. Of course, I didn't run anywhere near that at 13 years old, but that was my first real taste at being really good at something.
Well, wait, how fast did you run? I mean, you still...
I ran sub 5, somewhere probably, I think, between 4:56 and 4:58. So I just
amazing. I've never done that in my life.
So I remember that piece of it and saying, okay, I could actually be pretty good at this. But what I really realized was it was more the hard work. And so I think part of where I may have shared with you in the past is I believe from the ages of 11 until 17, there was not a single day I didn't wake up before 5:30 in the morning.
Okay, so let's just hard stop there because nobody does that. There's something about the matrix of your system that felt that deep commitment and maybe the potential of what that commitment might provide for you. So can you just take me back? Like, what was going on in your 11-year-old mind to get you to commit to waking up before 5 a.m. for such a chunk of time? Help me understand.
When I look back at it, I remember thinking that the world is very quiet early in the morning. And just thinking, okay, before all these other things happen and friends are awake or we're running around with our parents or whatever, or there's a game to get to, I just remember being in that state of mind that this is great. The world's quiet, so I can kind of do what I want. And doing what I want sometimes meant going for a run or a workout, or it sometimes meant go play outside and climb in the trees in Seattle or get into trouble as a kid and do those things. And so that just became my time. So as I've gained some age and some wisdom, I've learned about sleep chronotypes and understand that perhaps God also blessed me with that chronotype to be able to wake up early and have early bird get the worm. I do understand and believe wholeheartedly that people make the world go around. And I think I've just been blessed with that ability to wake up early. And it just so happened to align with the things I was passionate about and the work ethic and the hard work that goes into becoming a elite athlete, or frankly, just a high performing individual.
I get that. And I'm also an early riser. So I think I'm early chronotype as well, although that might be changing in perimenopause. We'll have to circle back to that. But it sounds like there's also something about your inner world and the quietness of the morning that I want to ask you about. So was there something that fed your discipline, that reinforced your commitments? You have a commitment-based life, which I really want to talk about today. And it sounds like that commitment started early. Did it start at 11?
It started well before that.
In utero?
We moved, possibly, but we made the move from Georgia to Seattle when I was 6, and I started running track and cross country then. And some of it is that sport it's an early person sport. So that's when it's also now as a parent, it's a parent's dream, because you wake up, you watch the kid run, the race lasts 12 to 24 minutes and it's over. So that's kind of a nice thing. But yeah, I think a desire to achieve, I think that there's been this ability to understand how to navigate external factors in the world to go and achieve something. And if you think about what's your North Star, that North Star being your vision, I know we'll talk more about this later as it relates to the current mission and goals in life. But on a quest to that North Star, there's lots of speed bumps along the way. So I always believe you have to work really hard beforehand to clear the deck. And perhaps there was just this understanding that all the noise of the world and all the stuff that would take place that could get in the way of what was important to me were more likely to happen after 5 or 6 or 7 a.m. So to me, it was just wake up when nobody's up and just go and do it.
So I still believe this is incredibly rare. And I want to get more specific about your morning routine, because it feels like this is a big part of what has made you so wildly successful. And I want you also to define what success means to you. So maybe we'll start there first. What is success in your mind?
To me, success is making a difference for other people. And that's been what's guided me for a long time. So even in sports, when I realized that achieving something was more about myself than other people, it's almost like I lost interest. And I'm sure we'll maybe talk more about that. And achieving things at a high level when it was more about me and not inspiring teammates, friends, family members towards something, better health, working hard, giving them a better life. I kind of lost interest in it. So to me, that North Star was what was really a key driver for me.
Makes sense. So I've been with you in Chicago, and your morning routine was evident there. Like a workout was the way that you started most days.
Yes.
You have a particular way that you start work and you think about work. So could you give us your current morning routine? Like what's working for you?
Sure. And thank you for saying current, by the way. I think it's very important. I remember, if I could tell just a very quick story,
Please.
When I had the opportunity about 12 years ago to meet Andrew Huberman, Brian McKenzie, Tim Ferriss, and Wim Hof. And think about the wealth of knowledge in those 4 people, right?
That's quite a group.
It certainly is. Think about taking all of their morning routines and stacking them together. You wouldn't have a minute left in the day.
No.
So it's first important for me to say that the saying current morning routine is a key word. And I think if anybody listens to this and says, I want to go and do those things, just understand that what works for me may not work for other people.
Yeah, fair enough.
But I would say that waking up early is always key for me. I know some way to do self-reflection is key as well, whether it's journal, Bible study. My daughter and I just recently went on a retreat. And so we're doing this 6-week challenge and we're learning about the book of John together. It's very cool. We read a small section, we write down what we observed, and we write down how we put it into action every day. And it takes 3 minutes.
I love that you're doing that with your daughter. So, hi, Brooke. I'm so excited to meet you very soon.
She's excited to meet you too.
So that's also very unusual. You're an incredibly busy CEO. You are traveling all the time. Seems like half the time I talk to you, you're in an airport. But you took time out to go on a retreat with your daughter and to really focus and invest in that relationship. Can you say more about that?
If I take a step back first, you think about your values, right? So I believe you have to be a values-driven person. And that's, if everyone in the world decided their 4 values, almost no matter what they were, and let them really guide them, I think that the world would be a much happier place.
I agree with you. Tell us your values.
So family, fitness, faith, and mission.
Beautiful.
And so within them, you can think through, everyone organizes things differently. Think about the bullet points for those. So for family, it could be family values, growing a family, carving out time for family, individual time with them as well. And so it just so happened that, and also for me, family also does mean deep, meaningful friendships too. So I have an extended family of people that I love. And for this particular instance, a good friend of mine, Wesley Britt, lifelong best friend, he invited me to this retreat with him and with a number of other fathers with their children.
And that was here in California,
It was, yeah. It was in Etna, California.
Okay.
So we flew into Medford, Oregon and made our way over there into the little bowl in between all those beautiful mountains. So to me, this was a awesome opportunity to just connect with my daughter. And it wasn't easy to carve out all that time, but once you're there for a couple of days, you realize, okay, we've invested the time. Let's make the absolute most out of this. Not the best, but just the absolute most, right? Like, let's make sure that we dive in here and learn. So had that opportunity to do so. But so I believe, back to your more overarching question, live by those values. And when you live by those values, you understand how to carve out time, right? And I also think that it might have been Tony Robbins that talked about the legs of the stool. And I consider those 4 values are the legs of the stool. And I think this analogy is really good. If you kick out one leg, you're okay. You're a little wobbly. You know, you got to get that leg back at some point in time. You knock out 2 and you're going crashing down. So if you think about losing faith and something terrible happens in your family, I mean, where do you go back to if something terrible happens? You go back to faith. You understand there's a plan, there's a path here. If something terrible happens in your health, where do you go? You lean on your mission, which probably delivers money, and you lean on your family to help support you. If one of those isn't there, it's going to be a really difficult thing. So I just think about that analogy quite a bit. And because of that, I understand the importance of allocating time towards all 4 of those, investing the time to make sure that bucket's full as much as possible within those 4 areas that I really value.
That's profound. So you're talking about a morning routine that's not, someone else's idea that you've applied to your life, but it's actually something that's rooted in your values. So you mentioned the 3-minute connection that you feel with your daughter, Brooke. So tell us more about the morning routine.
Sure. So really, if I could, I'll just give the bullet points. So wake up early. Recently, I think I read an article by Sam Altman, and about 6 months ago, I bought a full spectrum light panel that I sit in front of because the sun's not quite up. So I try to get good full spectrum light exposure.
Nice, which helps your sleep and your mood and your mitochondria. We like that.
Yes. And So then I actually go to the supplement cabinet and I don't plan the week. I do it because I want to remember what I'm putting in my body. So I actually open up every individual one, look at it, set it down, take what is deemed important to me. A lot of what you tell me to take, by the way. So
what's your current stack?
Recent, I do an AG1. I do B12.
And can you maybe give a little bit of the why, and I can help you with that? So AG1, because what are you looking for there?
I like to intermittent fast, and I take it to have, frankly, to get some good vitamins, minerals in my stomach in the morning. I usually don't eat breakfast until 10, or sometimes I just skip breakfast and eat at noon. So usually I'm going that 12 to 14 hours without eating, and I like to get those nutrients in my stomach. And frankly, what I've noticed for me is I don't feel well if I take a bunch of supplements unless I have that in my stomach as well. So
that's good.
Yeah, it's just been a healthy way to allow me to absorb some of the other nutrients that I'm getting.
So some people debate that AG1 can break the fast. Other people say if you have something that's less than 400 to 500 calories, it doesn't break the fast. It sounds like for you, it helps to settle your stomach so that you can take additional supplements.
That's right.
And I imagine with your metabolic switching that you're probably pretty good at producing ketones after 14 hours. I mean, men generally produce ketones sooner than women. So you're producing ketones. It helps you really focus. It sort of is a feed forward loop.
That's right.
For what you're able to do in your morning routine.
That's right. And actually, that was something that I had the opportunity to study as a consumer, but with Dom D'Agostino, who's a dear friend and taught me a lot about this. Hi, Dom. I love Dom, amazing human. And we actually were diving deep down the rabbit hole on this about 6 or 8 years ago. And so I was measuring my ketones 4 times a day, and I was testing other things. I was taking AG1 then as well, and it definitely did not break my fast. I was still producing.
So you're still in ketosis. You had
still in ketosis.
0.5 millimolars or higher of your ketones.
That's right. And I actually noticed, side note, that I really absorb exogenous ketones really well. I mean, my ketone levels would skyrocket.
And you don't mind the taste?
I eat for fuel. I eat for fuel. That's a bit of an ongoing joke. Like people are like, you want to go to this beautiful restaurant? I go for community and friends, but I'm not tasting what I'm eating. So I don't think I've ever drank bad wine, whether it's bad or good in people's perspective. And there's not very many bad foods I've had either. So I eat for fuel. I don't mind it.
Okay. Spoken like a true athlete.
Well, you got to think too. So I'm 43. So competing at a high level and being disciplined from a very early age. I was protein powders and all those things. They've gotten better tasting over the years, but I mean, back then it was like chalk.
Oh, it tastes terrible.
So I think it just became desensitized. It was fuel to me.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay, so we're on your stack. You've got your AG1, your B12.
Yes.
Do you have a genomic issue where you don't absorb B12 well? Why are you taking extra B12?
B12 and vitamin D. I've been told to take both of those, and it sounds like I do have some type of a absorption issue. And
you're tracking your biomarkers along with your genomics.
That's right. Yeah. So 8 Sleep, a Whoop, a Aura. Use all 3 of those. Love the Levels app. So, shout out there, but continuous glucose monitor as well.
Do you have yours on?
I do.
Okay.
Yep.
What was your glucose this morning?
82.
Okay. I like it. Yeah. Anything less than 85 milligrams per deciliter, I'm happy with that.
Yep. So checking that every day. And then also, so I believe in N1 experiments largely because of you. So 2 months ago, I completely stopped drinking, 100%. And
that's amazing.
Actually, with my team yesterday, we did a happy hour. They have these cool non-alcoholic nootropic botanical stores popping up, and we did a happy hour there.
Fantastic.
So we're there with the little sane strengths and the Dorma and all those cool things, and learning about nootropics and all that fun stuff.
So that's so good.
Yes, it's been a good replacement.
Yep. That's an important thing as a leader. There's so many people, CEOs who host their team for beer or, like some other toxin. And I don't think that's a way to celebrate your team.
I think it's just a little bit of cultural.
It is cultural.
I
but
have
we've
the
got to change the culture, and you're a cultural leader. So we are changing the culture together.
I believe so. And I know we can go down all different types of rabbit holes. I will say I had the opportunity recently to meet Tim Chang, and he was talking about the work that he is doing and the data that they've collected. And I've said this now dozens of times that party culture is ending. And I think it's a beautiful thing.
Oh, thank goodness.
Binge drinking has decreased significantly. Big alcohol companies are scared. And I think it's going to be a great thing for mental health, reducing anxiety, and this ability for young people to focus on their health and invest in it and for it to be cool. I mean, there's people that think it's cool now to stop drinking. It's cool now to focus on your health. It's an amazing thing.
It is amazing. I'm glad you raised that. Yeah, alcohol, it's, when I think about all the different medicines that I work with and lifestyle guidance that I give to patients, giving up alcohol or significantly reducing it is it's right up there. It is one of the highest amplifiers of health. It shrinks your brain over time. It robs you of the kind of restorative sleep that you need.
Yes.
It has so many adverse effects that especially hit harder after the age of 40. Like you just can't get away with what you used to get away with. So I'm so glad you raised that. Okay, so we've got AG1, B12, vitamin D. What else?
A zinc supplement.
Okay.
Yes.
Why do you take zinc?
My labs told me to. So I had some volatile testosterone levels up and down, but not enough to do subcutaneous injections and whatnot. So just trying to find other ways to naturally supplement it.
Okay.
From that perspective.
Very good. Yeah. I like that. So, that's a big part of the kind of work that I do and that we've talked about, that there are these lifestyle workarounds that you can do.
Yes.
And often giving zinc can make a big difference in terms of testosterone levels.
Yes.
So it's not, that knee-jerk response, my T is low, it's less than 300. I need to start doing oral testosterone, which is kind of the latest treatment that our friend Miles Spar likes, or using injected testosterone. That should not be the knee-jerk response. The knee-jerk response should be, what are the lifestyle factors that we could address first, like low zinc?
That's right. Yes. So
and too much stress and too much sugar.
I know we will go into this later as we talk more about longevity healthcare. I just believe everybody needs access to their healthcare information, their labs, just understand what's going on. And I think everybody, though, needs to understand good nutrition, gut health, what's going on with your hormones, and what makes you feel a certain way.
Amen.
And when you do those things, then you go and you can focus on all these other things all these famous, cool people are doing, but they've lived in this health optimization world for so long. And so when I think about, you ask about like the why the zinc, it's because it's a very easy, simple, straightforward way to help to maximize a hormone that's so important for me, in a manner that everyone could do. So I just believe do the baseline things first. Everyone should do that. Everyone should have good nutrition, some level of fitness, and it can be walk up the hill to the mailbox, some type of community, and just do those things right, and then go and work to start to optimize. So most of this morning vitamin supplement stack is just mostly around just the basic stuff that I will likely do forever.
That's great. Yep. So from testing what you should do specifically with your supplement stack, anything else in your morning routine?
A scoop of collagen, a scoop of MCT, or a squirt, and then 2 cups of black coffee.
Okay.
And believe it or not, I do. Well, you probably wouldn't understand this, but I do absorb and metabolize caffeine extremely fast. So it's not for the jolt. I'll be fine with decaf as well. About 12 years ago, I read the large coffee study, and I have the APOE4 gene in my family, and have had grandparents that have suffered from it and passed from that. And I just saw it as a cardiovascular benefit, a neurological benefit, and just decided to start doing it. I didn't drink my first cup of coffee till I was 33. And I love doing it. And frankly, maybe people say I drink too much of it, but usually somewhere between 2 and 5 cups a day of black coffee.
That makes sense. I mean,
Yes.
the thing with caffeine is that we know that people who are fast metabolizers, and it sounds like you are, they are the ones who reap all the benefits. So the cardiovascular benefit, the all-cause mortality benefit, whereas people who are slow metabolizers like me, we tend to have more risk associated with caffeine. So that makes a lot of sense to me. I really like that. And how interesting that you didn't have caffeine as part of your performance enhancement when you were, going back to age 11 and age 13 when you were running so fast with your mile.
It was really never on the radar. I think I read the study and said this sounds like another very simple, easy way. I think aside from water, it's the most consumed drink in the world.
It is. And it's an important source of polyphenols and antioxidants. Yes. And I'm going to make a little side note here of some of the tests that I want to run in the future.
Yeah.
So if you haven't done an IntelliX DNA before, I would like to run one terms of ApoE4. And we'll keep going as we go along. Yeah. And then I think you need some kind of micronutrient testing. Are you doing that already? Like on a every 6-month basis or once a year?
I am. Yeah, actually a couple times a year. So Great. I do the P88 test, and then I also will do within my company, we test a variety of different products. So candidly, I've probably done 10 or 12 of them, and would invite the chance for you to take a look at them.
I'd be happy to. Okay, so are we still in your morning routine?
I think so. Yeah. So
how long is this going?
Well, it's so far we've really only covered full spectrum lights and checking out supplements. So this is just a few minutes in, and then I do sit down, and that's the intentional time. So the lights there, supplements are taken, and it's journal, read the Bible, and then now I'm doing the 6-week challenge with my daughter as well on this. After that, I actually open up a planner, and I've had this habit every year of goal setting, like very specific, like very intentional. The goals are built around my values, so they're categorized that way. And there may be 3 to 5 goals for each one of those, and they're all measurable. And so I break those down from the annual goal. I walk backwards, and I understand how to measure those goals on a daily, weekly basis.
Okay, give us some specifics. You've got these 4 values: family, fitness, faith, mission. Can you give us a couple of goals that sound like a SMART goals, so measurable and actionable?
I'll give you a very simple one with faith. It's read the Bible front to back, and this will be my 4th year in a row doing it. So that ends up being, I think, 3.4 chapters per day. Okay. And so you just measure it. It's very simple. And so what I do is I read 4 of those every day. And that really only takes 10, 12 minutes. So that, of course, and I know with you, health habit stacking and habit stacking is important. So the beauty is I can stack that with a goal that I have with family, which was better connection with my children and wife, right? And so this instance, I can stack that and have better connection with my daughter because of our 6-week challenge.
This is beautiful. Yes. So for those who maybe haven't read Atomic Habits, how do you approach habit stacking?
Well, after I read the book, I thought about it different. But I would tell you that
well, tell me about that. So how did you think about it before you read James Clear? How did you think about it afterwards?
I think I became less frustrated at inefficiencies after I read it. And I couldn't quite figure out before. People joke, you're the most efficient human I've met. And I think what they really mean is the most impatient and possibly easy to get frustrated when things are inefficient. So to me, I just took this approach of, okay, what's the most efficient way from A to B, and what are the things I can do in conjunction with one another to get there, right? And that may sound sophisticated, but it could be a bit more like throwing spaghetti at the wall. After reading it, I was able to be very intentional and just understand how you get the most out of your time. So this could be something as simple as, okay, I just didn't quite have time to work out the way I wanted to today, and I didn't have time to read. And so you grab the Bible app and you hop up on the Stairmaster.
So you link them. You take a habit that exists already, you add another habit to it, and that's the stacking.
That's right. And so what I actually do is I take all of my goals and I have them broken down and measurable. And then I'll actually do like a Venn diagram. It sounds kind of strange, but I'll do a Venn diagram to understand what are all the things I can do simultaneously with one another. And that actually becomes a part of my morning or my PM routine to make things as efficient as possible.
Okay.
So
what are some of your fitness goals?
So this year has been a bit interesting because we're launching a new company. So I actually have a goal of being pain-free this year. I don't know if I've shared this with you.
No, you have not. Tell me.
So in the past, it would be like finish in the top 3 of a triathlon or squat 450 pounds again. And those are things.
Did you say 450?
I did that last year.
Oh
I did that last year. And that is the reason why I am trying to be pain-free this year.
I see.
So I won't say it's the healthiest thing.
Yeah.
I have a bit of a saying that playing sports at the highest level is likely the least healthy thing you can do for yourself.
Interesting.
You stress your body. You work everything to the nth degree. Resting and recovering is difficult when you want to achieve these goals. And it's usually relatively short-lived. So because of that more extreme goal last year, I'm suffering from it this year. But this is another example of stacking. So for me, being pain-free this year, it's a great journey because it's synonymous with my business now. And that ability to understand how to live a longer, healthier, happier life by adopting modalities that are innovative, cutting edge, and can help other people live better lives. I have the ability to do that myself, be my own N of 1 experiment, and then ideally take what I learn, have great conversations with people like you and others, and put that into action within our organization as well.
Okay, this is amazing. So I want to talk about your current business, but I also want did we finish your morning routine? Like, are we, how far in are we?
In the spirit of efficiency, we'll say full spectrum light, supplementation, journaling / read the Bible, goal set for the day.
Yeah,
so that's taking a look at those goals and that's bullet pointing them out and saying, what do I do today to achieve progress on these particular goals? And then it's usually some type of fitness. And so usually it's cold plunge, sauna, and whatever would be programmed that I program prior to the day from an exercise perspective, running, lifting, whatever is programmed. That's my morning. And that whole thing is really being efficient. It's no more than 90 minutes if I want it to be nice. And it's usually 60 minutes. When I say I want it to be nice, that 90 minutes is more like chilling in the sauna. I'm reading a little bit. I may roll out for a little bit longer, just work some kinks out, but that's kind of the morning routine. And really that whole thing's done somewhere between 5:30 and 6.
Okay. So total 90 minutes for your entire morning routine.
That's right.
So can you give us a couple of what you're doing with fitness? Like, are you doing any VO2 max training? Are you focused on a triathlon? I know you're trying to be pain-free. So I'm curious about that and how that layers in.
Yes. So this year, I hate to say it, but I don't have a specific high performance goal. Like last year was to finish in the top 5 of a triathlon and just, squat a certain weight.
Which triathlon?
We did the one out in Coeur d'Alene.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Idaho.
Yes.
Okay.
Beautiful. Yes. That was cool. So my wife had never done one. And so she's like, listen, if it's going to be something that's going to be hard, I don't want to be in flat Florida. So we just found the Coeur d'Alene one. That was really how we did it. And it was actually one of the first times that she got to see me compete and was fun. I got to see her compete as well. And she did quite well also. And,
wait, was she pregnant?
No. So I guess this would have been a year and a half ago. That's right.
Pregnant.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's right. Yes.
Okay.
So
because your son Phoenix is now
7 months.
Oh my gosh.
Yep.
Hi, Jillian.
Yes.
I think you're so amazing.
She is. And so is Phoenix. So that's also part of the morning routine. That's another reason like the inspiration is, okay, then I'm done at 6 so I can spend time with them in the morning before I head off to work.
It's beautiful. Well. Another value.
Yes.
Number 1, family.
Yes. So I still have a couple fitness goals.
Okay, tell me.
So one of them is to make sure I can maintain a sub 6-minute mile. To me, it's just an important thing, right? So it's like just be able to do that. So somewhere between 5:35 and 5:55 is where I've lived. And That's good enough for me to feel good.
Did you bring your running shoes?
I did.
Yes,
I did. I was told that I was going on a hike later today. So
I didn't know we were going to do a sub 6 minute mile.
And then I actually have a weightlifting goal as well. So there's something called a squat clean, and right. So, and I believe in Olympic weightlifting. I can walk through some of those mechanics why I love it, but it's to just be sure I can still squat clean 315 pounds, which 315 pounds. Yeah.
Okay.
Which is something that I feel like if I can run the sub 6 minute mile and squat clean 315 well in my 40s, well in my 50s, and I think I'm going to be in quite good health.
Yeah. So you're sketching out a dashboard, like a dashboard of what specifically is important to you that also maps to your values, the 4 values that you shared. What else is on that dashboard that you track? Because it sounds like you tune into your dashboard every morning.
I do. Yes. So the dashboard is made up of those goals, right? So you've got the fitness goals. So those are 2 of them. The other one is to do a handstand for more than 60 seconds.
Oh, that's
which
fun.
I can do fine. I've been able to do that, but the goal is to be able to maintain that. So there's a reason for these things. So on the fitness side, for those, it was less about achieving something big and getting on a podium. And it was more about mechanics for me and maintaining a fitness level that I knew would be conducive to good health. So the squat clean goal is important not because of strength, but because of body position and mechanics.
Okay.
So when you are able to lift you know how to get in a good hollow position, which Kelly Starrett, hello Kelly, will be so proud to hear as well. It's like, how do you get in that good hollow position, and how do you set your body up for success in terms of its mechanics? Running is important, obviously, because of the cardiovascular fitness, but why running that sub 6 minute mile is so important to me in conjunction with being pain-free is body mechanics. They say the most dangerous sport in the world for people is running because of all the injuries. And so I know if I'm working hard to be pain-free and I'm running a sub 6 minute mile, that I have good mechanics and my body's in a good position. So I think about those things as I think about longevity and start to set myself up for success down the road.
I love, Jimmy, how you connected the sub 6 minute mile to longevity. And, when we look at these really long-term longevity studies, like the Baltimore longevity study, we know that there are certain metrics that really matter. Things as simple as grip strength, but also how fast you can go a mile.
That's right.
So your sub 6 minute mile is an important indicator of longevity. And it's, I think this point about how it's the most dangerous sport in the world is really interesting. Now, one of the things that I get curious about as you talk about your fitness and where you are kind of in the arc of your athletic career, tell me more about mobility. Has that become more important for you?
It has, actually, even just these last couple of years. So I kind of smiled when you said that. And so I actually tore my ACL 3 times.
Yeah, tell us about that.
So I tore it for the first time my second year of college. And I'll be honest, I had no idea what just happened. I remember the trainer was like, "Oh, poor thing, like this is tough." And I still had no idea. I just remember playing football at Auburn being like, "Am I going to make it back for the Iron Bowl?" He's like, "No, that's in 4 weeks. This is a 6 month to a year recovery."
So did you have an injury? Like what happened? Was it
caught
like
a pass?
a tackle?
I caught a
Okay.
non-contact, which
Okay.
was, you asked the question. The reason I mentioned this in conjunction with the mechanics question is it was non-contact.
Okay.
And so I caught a pass, cut up field, and just popped it. And it was strange because as we think about or talk about how I grew up playing sports, if maybe I'd tell just a quick story. I didn't really I just was good at football. I didn't really ever have a passion for it. The reason I actually got into it was we moved to Alabama, was running track and cross country, was really good at basketball. My best friend was playing football, and the coach was like, you can break the state record for most varsity letters if you play football and do cross country at the same time. So I would do every day, Monday through Thursday. I'd wake up in the morning, I'd do cross country practice. I would play football in the afternoons. I would do Friday night football games and Saturday morning cross country meets. And I would do that for that time period. Now, my best friend was one of the best football players in the country, and I was big and tall, just like I am now, and just happened to get some attention. And 2 years later, signed a scholarship at Auburn to play football. And so because of that, I didn't really, in particular, think I loved the sport. Again, was just good at it. And playing football in the SEC is a dream. And I'll tell you, it's an incredible experience. So there was not a day where I was just like, oh, why am I doing this? But on the other hand, the injury was just like, all right, this will be another challenge. I'll just recover fast and we'll get back at it. And so I did and recovered. And then I had a really good next year of football. And so then going into my junior year, I was preseason All-American and was thinking, oh, okay, I could go play in the NFL. And the first game of my junior year, I tore my ACL again.
Oh, same side.
Same side. And that was pretty devastating because I'd actually started to fall in love with the sport and thought maybe I had a future in it. And I remember I was in the training room with another guy on my team who had an injury. Second injury, it was a shoulder injury, I think. And he just said, that's it for me. I quit. And I remember thinking, okay, well, I'm still get out of the sports and join school. I'm going to graduate early. Maybe I'll just do that. And I remember I had this pity party for like 12 hours. And I woke up the next day. I was like, what if it's the first game of the year? What if I can use this as a chance to motivate people and inspire people? So I set a goal to recover and play the last game of the year.
Wow.
Which would be a 3-month recovery. And I did.
Wow.
And so that was really my first time in my life where I realized health, fitness, mobility, body mechanics, resting, recovering, being in college, not partaking in indulging things and alcohol and whatnot, and just clean it up and just go. And that was the first time in my life I was like, there's a way to do something like this that can be extraordinary. So that was when I really embarked on the journey that I'm on now, which is to live this hopefully incredibly long life, sometimes pain-free, and continue to achieve success in sports, fitness, and in business.
So that sounds like a pivotal moment for you to focus your will on that particular goal. And it's also incredibly rare. So I want to come back to the pain that you're experiencing and this goal of being pain-free. And I also want to start to layer in some of your business acumen. So I want you to talk about your work with spinal surgery. I want you to talk about your work with regenerative medicine and how it's led to you being at this point now with longevity.
Sure. Well, thank you. So I grew up in a medical family. Father's a surgeon, mother's a nurse, just had that opportunity to be around all that. And so I think it was kind of inherent. I didn't really think it was going to be the path. I wasn't really sure. I mean, I enjoyed college. And
it seemed like you were good at everything to me, frankly.
Well, I think maybe if I reframe it, it's a unique way to identify quickly what I'm good at and then go and work hard at that.
Okay.
Right? So
I like that. Thank you for that refinement.
Yeah. So I think the idea would be so being selective and being smart about how you're being selective, I suppose.
Okay.
So enjoyed school and just thought I wanted to go into business and just try to open up my own business, but wasn't really sure what that meant. And so there was just this really interesting time after I was done playing NFL football and said, okay, I'd like to move up to Wall Street and work up there and drink out of a fire hose for a bit, get a bunch of great experience. And in college, I had the opportunity to meet the founders of Outback Steakhouse. And as I share, my father's a surgeon as well. And
He's a general surgeon?
he orthopedic surgeon.
Okay.
Orthopedic surgeon. And so it was almost like the worlds were just aligning. And I met these business guys who were working with some others to do some investments in healthcare. And it was just kind of like this perfect timing. And we launched this company called the Laser Spine Institute. And it was almost set up to be just like a pilot to see if we could do something a little bit different. And so I kind of got this playground to build this really cool business. And we started with a small surgery center, and we said we're going to do things completely different. Like, to me, it was like, I want to create something that's unique, that can help people. And we identified a better way to do surgery. And I'd say the first of its kind endoscopic spine surgery. We reinvented the surgical model and the diagnostic model. So we basically created this 5-day experience where people could fly in from all over the country, all over the world, to fly in and get everything they need in a 5-day process. Where, if you know much about spine surgery, even in some instances today, it can take you years to navigate to getting that surgery.
Yes.
And the average patient stays in pain for 9 years because they don't want surgery because they're scared of it.
Right.
So we said, how can you make it easy, more accessible? How can you build a business that meets an unmet need? And so these patients would come in and they were fearful because of the big open back procedure. So we partner with orthopedic surgeons and basically said, can we do what you would do for a knee on a spine? We realize you can't open up the back and do big fusions, but can you relieve spinal impingement? Can you help to alleviate pain from a degenerative disc? And we basically started to do that, and we just caught this tremendous traction. Now, from a business perspective, we actually did something very different as well. So we claim to be the first company in healthcare to market direct to consumer through Google AdWords. And I believe that's probably a fact.
That's pretty amazing.
And so what we did was we opted out of insurance completely. And we charged cash because insurance companies wouldn't pay for this type of procedure early on. And we started marketing directly to patients, and it just took off like wildfire.
And what year was this, Jimmy?
This was 2007 and 2008.
Okay.
Yep.
And Google AdWords when did they first start? Was it a little bit before that?
Well, just like the year before that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you were early. You
Very
were pioneering.
That's right.
With direct to consumer and Google AdWords.
That's right. So we reinvented the diagnostic and surgical model. We reinvented what was then a referral model and basically created a marketing model. But more important than anything, the outcomes were tremendous. I mean, 85% of the people who walked in who were in tremendous pain weren't just relatively pain-free. They were walking a mile the day of surgery.
That's
like
amazing.
A phenomenal thing.
Wow. Walking a mile.
So we built this model, and we started in Tampa, Florida, and then we opened up centers all over the country, and we ended up treating somewhere between 50 and 60,000 patients over that time period.
50 to 60,000 patients. Yeah. Over what time period?
5 years.
5 years, Jimmy. Yeah. That's incredible.
Yeah, I would tell you what was interesting though. So I like to say this because I think it's important to understand that timing is key. You can never reinvent this model now. I mean, redeliver this model now. The world has changed. We were able to pioneer this, and so now lots of people do this procedure. Now insurance accepts it. It's a bit more commoditized, if you will.
But you were in the right place at the right time. You had this juxtaposition of coming up with a 5-day experience outside of the insurance model. You created this efficiency. You addressed this unmet need, people who had 9 years on average of pain, who were really suffering.
Yes.
And you came up with a solution that was easy and more accessible, and you went straight to the consumer to market it.
Lots of naysayers, lots of resistance. It widely disrupted the marketplace, though, from that perspective.
Huge disruption.
Yes. So I learned from that. But I will say that when I go back to the timing thing, so I have a saying, in the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king, right? So the idea was just a little bit more vision. It wasn't brilliance. It was just, there was good timing. There's a little bit more vision. There was some good ideas. And I think that those combinations of things led to this, what turned into be a tremendous success. What I'm most proud of is we helped lots and lots of people get their life back. We helped lots of families get their loved ones back. But we also changed the lives of thousands of teammates that we had at that company. I mean, if you think about, it's beautiful, the tentacles that were created from that, where people would come in and they were patient coordinators or nurses, in some instances, doctors. I mean, they have all gone on to do these tremendous things in healthcare. They're running large healthcare systems. They're founding their own businesses. That was my first time to say, wow, actually what I really love doing is helping people. And part of that is creating opportunities for people. And that's why I love building culture, and have just realized from playing these team sports that ability to build a culture was just somewhat inherent. And I think if we could say we did anything special there that we've carried forward, has been to create this incredible family-like culture where people are really behind something and they really love the product that we're essentially delivering.
Jimmy, how do you build culture? And how are you doing that now? And how has the way that you build culture changed from the Laser Spine Institute to now?
So I believe that you build culture by being the same thing we talked about before. You have a North Star, you understand the mission, you have your values, you live by those values, you set goals, you measure those goals, and you check the scoreboard every day.
I like the football analogies.
So I say though that you need to be a mission-driven, values-guided organization. And I like to use the analogy on values of, if you have 4 values, think about you're in a room and there's 4 walls. And each of those walls are a different value. And if you live in those walls, you live in a very safe place. If you step outside of those walls, you could be in a very dangerous place. And that means that you no longer are living by your values. And a lot of this can sound cliche, but the mechanics of how we do this are really important. We work to make our values come to life. So we do that in our onboarding, our recognition, our evaluations of teammates. And every week we do these company-wide stand-ups, and they actually hand out, nominate people that they nominate for values: clinical excellence, be fun to be around, be mission-driven. We work to help recognize people that do the things that we value as an organization. And so I think when you do that, then people understand you take them really seriously. And then we develop committees around those values as well to do the fun things, to say we're taking real action. Like, some are very literal. Like, if there's a value around giving back, you can be very literal. If there's a value around clinical excellence, it might be a little bit more squishy. So you have to be sure to understand what are the metrics that mean this person delivered clinical excellence on this day, and use that as an example to bring the values to life, and also show those measurable things there around it. So I think that's how you build culture. And then, of course, you have to surround yourself with people that are really aligned to the mission. And
how do you do that?
First, you have to clearly state it.
Uh-huh.
So in order to state it, you've got to define it.
What's your current mission?
The mission of Agentis Longevity is to drive the standard of care in longevity healthcare, and end result, help people live longer, healthier, happier lives.
Boom. I love that. So
you have to first define that. And I don't think that it's, so I believe in the North Star, right? And so when you do that, I think you have to define it. There's some people that believe, okay, it evolves over time. In some instances it might, but with this one, I mean, this just feels like a decade-long mission to change healthcare and to truly help people achieve longer, healthier, happier lives. And part of what we're doing here is to do that, it has to be accessible. It has to be affordable. It has to be accessible. But you asked this question because of defining, how do we define culture and create culture? So you define that North Star, and then you lay out what's the path to get there, right? And so that means here's the goals, here's the measurables. You do that in the form of a deep dive strategic plan, and then you have to build the team. And that team has got to be aligned towards it. I think this one's pretty easy because people can either really get behind this one or maybe they just don't quite get it. And I've found it to be a really fun culture to build because we're truly doing something really, really special that is a bit hard to argue. I mean, who would argue that people living longer, healthier, happier lives is not a good thing and that they wouldn't want to be a part of that? So to me, that's been what's been so exciting around building this type of organization.
It's a huge unmet need. There's a way that what I've seen over the past 30 years is that longevity care is mostly for people with high net worth. And yet there are ways that we can bring it to a broader group of people. And so I really love that this is your North Star. So where are you in this process? And then I want to circle back to regenerative medicine too, because that feels like it might be part of longevity. I'm curious what you think about that.
Sure. Yeah. And happy to intertwine that in the conversation. So we launched a company called Agentis Longevity. It's a private equity backed organization. And I looked at the longevity space and first thought, just instinctually, I'll just repeat what I've done before, which is identify the mission and then just go and build something best in class. And throughout the course of my second sports journey in trying to become a world-class rower, I was able to surround myself with these world-class people. And I mentioned some of them before. And then because of them, I was introduced to some clinics and I was going and visiting them and learning about hyperbaric oxygen and learning about peptide treatments. And I had some experience in biologics and regenerative medicine already. And then hearing people like Andrew or Tim Ferriss's stack, right? It's like, okay, now you've got supplements and you've got labs. And I was just like, okay, this world's a lot bigger than just going and creating a company. And so I just said, okay, who's a couple companies that I could find some partners and go out and acquire and start to build an organization from that perspective. And so that was why I made this decision to work with a private equity organization and to say we can build something that's world-class by acquiring organizations that do one thing really, really well and sharing those best practices with other groups that do things really, really well, expand those services, and in a sense, curate best-in-class solutions in this incredible ecosystem that patients can look at and they can trust because you've curated best in class, you brought in world-class physicians to help create those protocols, you're measuring outcomes, you're doing so in a consumer-friendly way where people can get behind it, it's scientifically backed. And I looked at that and said, that would be very difficult to build. And there's lots of people out there starting to do that. So why not just find a way to partner with those people? So that's what Agentis Longevity is. We are largely acquiring organizations. We're sharing best practices. We're expanding those best practices across a four-wall clinical setting across the country. And then over time, we will start to vertically integrate other best-in-class things like laboratory assessments, other AI-enabled healthcare technology tools to be accretive to the organization to build something that people can trust. But we got to this because you talked about this feeling that its longevity is for wealthy people.
Yes.
I think it's that way because of the healthcare system, frankly. I think if the healthcare system wasn't driving people towards, in some instances, suboptimal care, that was certainly not curing them. I was listening to one of your podcasts and I just remember someone asked the question, like, has anyone ever gotten cured from traditional medicine? Not often. So from my perspective, you've got to be able to make it accessible and affordable for people, your general, healthcare consumer who's used to following the traditional model to decide to take $1 from their pocket and spend it over here.
Mm-hmm.
And in order to do that, you've got to make it, again, accessible and affordable. So I think that's our differentiator, really. It doesn't mean that we don't have world-class modalities that possibly do stretch the pocketbook a bit for some people. But for the most part, we really are working to tailor towards that general healthcare consumer who just wants to live a longer, healthier, happier life, but they may otherwise historically not been able to afford these more expensive modalities.
You're making it more accessible. And I also hear a thread from the Laser Spine Institute of bringing together disruption with tracking outcomes and proving the model. Is that right?
That's right. Yes. So we believe that building trust is something really important. And if you just take a step outside of healthcare, if you decide to spend your money somewhere, you made a decision in your head, I'll try it or I trust it. And when you have consumer-driven healthcare, meaning they're deciding where to spend their money, you've got to give them more than they would have expected from traditional healthcare, period. If you don't do that, there's no reason for them to go there. And so from my perspective, it's got to be looked at like I can get these things that I would have not had access to before, or I'll stop spending money somewhere else to spend money here because I want to invest in my health. But it can't be something so expensive and or insurmountable that they look at and say, I'll budget for that. I'll get around to that. They have to be able to take action relatively quickly.
Yes.
Some of the things that we've done is we've defined 5 key tests that a patient can gain access to that are very affordable, extremely accessible, scientifically and clinically backed, that will allow us to help position where the patient is from a health perspective. And then what we're working on is taking those 5 key tests and putting them into a composite health score, a single number that, of course, people can peel back the onion and see the stuff under it. But the idea is they can look at it and say, okay, wow, this is where I am. And then that informs their journey.
Mm-hmm.
So if you think about biomarkers, you think about grip score, you think about cognitive function, you think about COSAC score, you think about body composition. These are things that everyone should know, right?
Yes.
People should know where they are. They should know what's good for them, how their hormones are acting, what's going on with their cognitive function, what is their body composition. And then we like the grip score because it's got lots of reasons as to why it is a good indicator of longevity.
That's right.
And it's virtually free for someone to do, right? So the idea is now you take that information, you put it together in one score, and now a patient can digest it, and now they have their North Star. So very similar to what we talked about before, a patient gets the North Star, and now we have to define that mission for them. And the mission is a plan that we create that's curated from these best-in-class solutions that we've identified, and that plan steps them into a longevity journey that is affordable and accessible. Those 5 tests, very inexpensive. Their first couple months of treatment, relatively affordable as well. Let's focus on your hormones. Let's help your body start to feel better. Put the right food into your body. Do some movement. Get some community. Do those things that are really easy, but help them embark on the journey.
Mm-hmm.
And then once you've established trust, now they can make a conscientious decision to continue to spend dollars towards health optimization, where I believe what happens is when you talk about the expensive types of longevity, I think people leapfrog that whole first step.
I agree with you. And I want to call out a couple of subtexts with what you just said. The first is you are talking about defining health in a way that's never been done before, because our broken healthcare system is centered around disease. A pill for every ill. It's not centered on health. It's really the only industry that doesn't have a gold standard.
Yep.
In the car industry, you know what the gold standard is.
That's right.
With a well-functioning car.
That's right.
It's not based on disease. You're also talking about behavior change, which is the hardest nut to crack in medicine. It's the hardest thing I do, to be able to encourage a patient to change the way that they eat, to change the way they move or sleep, to change, some of those early childhood experiences that might be affecting the behaviors, the drinking, the ways that they chill out or tune out. So I appreciate the way that you're addressing health and addressing behavior change. So catch us up as we start to wind down. I'm also going to ask you some lightning round questions.
Right.
Where are you right now in this experience with Agentis? Like, where are you in terms of acquiring clinics and developing?
Sure.
What can you share with us?
Sure. Happy to continue to share. So over the course of the next 24 months, we will continue to identify and acquire best-in-class healthcare organizations. We have 2 other key acquisitions that we're getting very close to wrapping up. They do heavier biologics, peptides, comprehensive hormone care, and we have 9 other clinics spread throughout the Midwest that primarily do hormone optimization therapy along with peptides, some weight management, and nutrition counseling. And so we think about this like a honeycomb of services, if you will. And the idea is over the course of these next couple of years, we fill in that honeycomb and we identify, build, and share best practices. And then once we've built that blueprint, we then start building clinics of our own. And the idea around those clinics of our own, I think it becomes well-informed because we have identified what people really want through real-world examples and what people don't necessarily want. I think it would be pretty easy to raise the capital and build out this great destination facility like we've done in the past. But I think that it would not solve the affordability and accessibility problem.
Mm-hmm.
And so it takes longer. I think it's harder, but that's where we are here early on. And then over time, as we start to build out our own, we'll go towards key cities to make it accessible where it may have otherwise not been accessible, but we still will end up in the big MSAs around the country as well.
Beautiful. Yep. Really beautiful.
Yeah.
So I want to ask you to help us get treated in 60 seconds or less. I'm going to ask you a couple of quick questions. And I wonder, let me start first with, what's something that you used to believe about health that you've totally changed your mind about?
Sleep.
Sleep. Okay.
Sleep.
Tell me about that, since you were up before 4 a.m. today.
I would tell you that I used to do the math in my head and say if you slept 1 less hour per day, that you could get 6 to 10 days more throughout the course of a year of productivity. And then I realized productivity decreases pretty significantly if you don't get enough sleep. I'm blessed a bit with, I think, a chronotype where I don't have to sleep quite as much. So I would say maybe don't follow this guidance, but I'm usually pretty good
only
at
3% of the population.
I'm good at 6. I'm good with 6 hours,
Okay.
and I'm 5.5 to 6.5 hours. I'm good with that. But I would tell you that I've totally changed my mind. I used to give the advice all the time. It's okay to power through it. It's okay to be tired. Dead wrong. I think I learned some of this from you. In fact, I was listening to you amongst other leaders speak about the different ways they approach longevity. And the one commonality I saw across the board was the importance of sleep. The importance of community and the importance of sleep, I think most people agree on. So totally changed my mind from that perspective. And I'm really focused hard on it. So that means go to sleep a little earlier because I'm going to wake up at the same time, really, no matter what.
Love that. I have to ask you about community because I feel like when we hear the bros talk about longevity, when we hear folks like Brian Johnson talk about sleep, one of the things I've heard him say is that he's not going to sleep with anyone because it disrupts his sleep to have a bed where someone else is in it. And I feel like that's starting to miss the point of living longer, healthier lives when you do it in isolation.
Yes.
So tell us about community. Like, what is that? What's changed in your mind about community and how that maps to longevity?
Well, as you get older, you start to realize the value of your time. I would say I was never inherently a social butterfly. I enjoy being around people and enjoy good conversation. We define in our family, we have this motto: surround yourself with growth-oriented, growth-minded people and give more than you take. So when you do that, you essentially curate the group of people around you. And I think in the Bible, they say, tell me your 5 closest people and we'll tell you your path, right? And so we've all heard this: birds of a feather flock together, whatever analogy you want to use. I will leave large social small talk environments exhausted. And it's just like, what did I just get from that? And so I'm always thinking in the spirit of give more than you take. It's like, what did I give to those people also? I wasn't able to really contribute. So to me, that's really important. I also have my couple best friends for life. Have been blessed from that perspective as well. These are 30 plus year great friends of mine, and those are my people. So I believe in that. And I also do believe that, to the extent you define either friends and or true family as family, it's important to have people around you that you love and that you care for. And because of that, I'm relatively selective with who I invite to the table. But once they're there, I trust that person with my life as well. And that's essentially how I really surround myself with a group of people that makes me feel good, that I can hopefully give a lot to as well.
Jamie, this has been a rollicking, deeply pleasurable and transformative conversation. And in the spirit of what you just said about giving more than you take, which is something I experience from you every time I talk to you, is there a final thing that you want to give us as we close our podcast together?
I should have prepared knowing you would ask this, because I've listened to all of them. I know you always ask the question. I would just say that I believe that everyone has their own path. I think it's great to have the opportunity to hear insight from lots of people. And I would say if I offered any insight here, it's because I've gotten it from someone else as well. So the whole thing to me, this last kind of closing message is just pay it forward, right? If you learn something new and unique, pay it forward to someone else and surround yourself with good people, be values driven, and have a true North Star.
That's fantastic. Okay, everyone, we're going to pay it forward. So consider what you can do today to pay it forward, like Jimmy has instructed us to do. Thanks so much, Jimmy, for joining us on
Great.
Treated.
Thank you, Sarah.